introduction and a very good morning to everyone. And on behalf of FedEx Singapore, we thank you for the opportunity to participate in this webinar to share with you industry insights and solutions. COVID-19 has indeed changed the way we conduct business and to a large extent to the way we live our lives as well. And in these unprecedented times, it is important for businesses to stay agile, to adapt to the new normal. Today, we will be sharing with you key insights that could help your business recovery. Firstly, we'll discuss how COVID-19 has impacted the global and local economy, as well as the shift in consumer behavior. I will then pass on to my colleague Yvonne, who will focus on how businesses can re-strategize your supply chain to achieve cost and service efficiencies. We will be happy to take your questions after the presentations. So let me begin today's session. COVID-19 has started as an epidemic mainly in China late last year, but unfortunately today it is a global pandemic. According to Johns Hopkins data, to date, there have been over 5 million confirmed cases and over 330,000 deaths, and now 350,000 deaths. The disease has been detected in more than 200 countries and territories, leading to various governments imposing the lockdowns and restriction in the movement. In Singapore, we are familiar with the circuit breaker, which thankfully is coming to a tail end. The effects of the pandemic is felt across the globe and has greatly impacted the economy. According to the IMF, the global economy is expected to shrink by 3% this year. It is a dip that is worse than the 0.1% recorded in the recession year of 2009 after the financial crisis. As every nation begin to grapple with their economy, the government has dished out several stimulus packages to prop up the economy. In Singapore, the fourth budget was announced on Tuesday, the Fortitude budget, which was also aimed to help businesses, especially the SMEs, to tide through this difficult period. Now, it is no different here in Singapore, as recessions is projected to be at minus 3.5%. And if we look at the recent MTI forecast, Singapore economy is expected to shrink by between 4% and 7%. It is deeper than the previous forecast of minus 1% and 4%. We have also seen the Singapore dollar depreciate about 4% in the month of March. The reality is that COVID-19 has not only impacted the economy, but also changed the way consumers behave and demand for their goods and services. So let us look at some observations on how these changes are. Over the last couple of months, we have witnessed panic buying, and I'm sure the toilet paper episode is still fresh in our minds. Now, as various countries experience their own version of panic buying, the effects of pandemic is truly real, and it has also changed consumers' priorities and how consumers prefer to purchase and receive their goods and services. On this slide, I want to share a key statistic with you from Capgemini. Of the 59% of customers who have always preferred physical interaction at the store when making a purchase, only 24% of this group of consumers are expected to feel comfortable to return to doing so in the near future. Now, this then brings about a great opportunity for businesses and also the SMEs, which is e-commerce. Now, as consumers continue to take precautionary measures, we also see a surge in online purchases. According to Nielsen, 7 in 10 consumers are shopping online to stock up their pantry. Now, this behavior is comprehensible, as many of us would not want to risk ourselves or expose ourselves when walking out to the physical stores. Now, this is also a key observation that all businesses, especially the SMEs, need to take note as you re-strategize your business approach. And it is not surprising that e-commerce will continue to be the preferred business approach for many and in time to come. The massive shift to e-commerce is undisputable as businesses see this as a viable alternative. This is indeed a good outcome for businesses who have pivoted fast enough when the crisis began. We believe that the good old days will not resume anytime soon or at all. It's time to re-strategize one's business models and taking into consideration long-term. And if e-commerce is indeed the approach that you are going to take, it is worth looking at how can one engage with the consumers effectively. For example, what can one do to enhance the customer experience when the consumers cannot feel and touch the goods? How can one stand out among others who have already joined the e-commerce bandwagon? And what digital strategy will one undertake to connect and interact with the customers? Furthermore, customer experience does not stop at putting the item into the shopping cart. It is an end-to-end process in terms of wooing the customers, from browsing the item to paying for the item to getting the shipments, getting the goods delivered to the end customer. These are areas that SMEs can look into and add value to your customers via this online process. If you have embarked on the e-commerce journey, perhaps the next phase is to think about how one can expand the reach. But if you have not and feel that the e-commerce is the way that your business wants to, is a business approach that you want to adopt, it is never too late to start. Whatever the situation may be, SMEs need to look for a recovery strategy that is cost efficient, effective, and agile. It all boils down to a reliable supply chain management. Every one of us, we have been impacted by the global supply chain disruption. Delays in the deliveries, our supplies running low. These are common issues at the beginning of COVID-19. So you may ask me, with all the pain points, opportunities, challenges, where do we go from here? For SMEs, a cost-efficient supply chain is key for a healthy business operations. The new normal is our future. In the next section, I am going to have Yvonne Ng, Senior Manager of Clearance and Life Science Operations, to share with you some logistical approaches, strategies that could help your business. For now, let me pass the mic to Tiffany. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you, Audrey. Thank you for the wonderful sharing down there. Okay, and next up, okay, we're going to have, as mentioned by Audrey, Miss Yvonne Ng, Senior Manager of Clearance and Life Science Operations of Federal Express Singapore. She'll be talking more about how business can reconfigure their logistic strategy to achieve greater operational and cost efficiencies. So over to you, Yvonne.
Thank you, Tiffany, and a very good morning to all. Let me take you through to some of the logistic strategy that you can adopt to achieve cost and service efficiency. Firstly, I'd like to give you an overview of an end-to-end shipping process by air so that you have a better understanding of the shipping flow. Diagram typical intra-Asia shipping process by air. So let's start from the left, where you have a shipment to send and you prepare the shipping document, such as the airway bill, so that we know where to ship the item to, and commercial invoice for custom clearance purpose, especially shipment. And the best way to prepare for this shipping document is really to do it electronically, and I will share more on the benefits later. Now, once the document is ready, you will arrange for a pickup for the courier. And once our courier pick up shipment, transport it to the hub for consolidation and then departure, the update of your shipment. Now, while your shipment is flying in the air on its way to destination, information on the electronic paperwork is uploaded in the system. And this will be for the export clearance in Singapore, and simultaneously the electronic information will be sent to destination for advanced declaration to custom clearance. By the time it arrives at the destination, it will have cleared custom and then be delivered to your consignee smoothly. Now that you have a better understanding of the end-to-end shipping process, you also need to know the different types of shipping documents and some basic regulatory requirements and roles and responsibility of the different authorities to ensure a smooth custom clearance. The key to ensure smooth custom clearance is by providing complete and accurate information. There are at least two sets of documents you need to prepare each time you ship a non-document shipment, an airway bill and a commercial invoice. You need to provide the following information on the airway bill, such as the full company's name, the complete address, the contact number of both the shipper and consignee, a brief description of goods, the value of the shipment, as well as the weight. Now, at this point, I want to emphasize the importance of full company's name because importer of records depends on it. Example, if one should not indicate ST Engineering Aerospace. Why? Because this is an incomplete company's name, and there is no such entity as ST Engineering Aerospace. And the complete company's name could be ST Engineering Aerospace Limited, or ST Engineering Aerospace Seats Private Limited, or ST Engineering Aerospace Supplies Private Limited. So if you just write ST Engineering Aerospace as the company's name, which could be any of this company, and they are of different company and different entities with different UEN. So when a wrong UEN is applied, the GST are charged to the wrong party, and then the IOR, which is the importer of record, needs correction, which means a lot of work for a lot of parties, including Singapore Customs. Therefore, it is important to provide complete company's name to prevent unnecessary delays in the shipment. Now, next, I want to touch on commercial invoice. On the commercial invoice, it's very important that we have clear description of the item. That is one moment, sorry. As you can read from the deck, information such as cost, Incoterm, country of origin, and the purpose of sending the shipment is important. So, for example, if you are shipping an item, is it a personal gift? But don't just put gift as the description of the item because we don't know what is the gift. Or don't just put toy as the description of the item because toy could be anything. I think a better description would be, is it a stuffed toy, a doll, or a car model? You know, by the way, if you put in just toys as description, your item is most likely will be selected for inspection by Singapore Customs because some toys are restricted. So for control shipment, additional documents are needed as well as the license, and we'll share more later. Some basic understanding of some regulatory requirement will help to prevent unnecessary delay. For instance, importer and exporter need to activate the UEN via the Singapore Customs website. Otherwise, your shipment will be not approved. Your shipment will not be approved by Singapore Customs. And many people mistaken that when you apply for a UEN, it will automatically be activated, but this is not the case. So we just want to also share that recently Singapore Customs has issued a notice to remind trader to activate their UEN to prevent their shipment from being delayed, both the import and export. Now, next, I want to touch on GST, Goods and Services Tax. All of us know the GST is 7% based on cost, insurance, and freight. So in Singapore, we have a de minimis of $400 CIF if you ship your shipment by air. So in other words, if you ship your shipment by air, and if it's below $400 CIF, you don't have to pay GST. But if your shipment is above 400 CIF, then you need to pay GST in the full amount. So let me give you an example. If your shipment CIF is $400, 7% of GST would be $28. But because the CIF is 400 and below, you don't have to pay GST. But if a shipment has a CIF of say $500, so 7% of $500, $35, you need to pay the full GST amount. It's not like the first $28 is exempted. So I hope that gives you an idea. So listed here are also the URL for the Singapore Regulatory Agency and its various competency authority. Next, I want to share on some common control item and their respective CA or competent authority. If your shipment is subject to control by the relevant CA, you are required to comply with the respective competent authorities requirement. So in order to apply for a permit, all the informations are important and you need to comply. So listed here are some common items and the respective CA. For example, if you are importing health supplement or medical devices, your shipment will require clearance by the HSA, Health Science Authority. We talked about the importance of clear description on the commercial invoice earlier. Let me give you an example. If you are importing masks and you put mask as the description of goods, that is an example of unclear description because surgical mask is under medical device and is a controlled shipment. Therefore, it requires approval from HSA, Health Science Authority. And if the content But if your content is actually beauty facial mask, then that is not a control shipment and it doesn't require approval from HSA. So when you put the incomplete description of goods, it can cause your shipment to be delayed. So this is the reason clear description of goods is important to prevent any unnecessary delay to your shipment. Now let me move on to another CA. Say you import processed food or food appliances that require clearance from the Singapore Food Agency, which is SFA. And by the way, the SFA license is free. You just need to apply for it. What we have here is a list of prohibited items, and you need to be aware not to import such item. I think we all know that chewing gum is a prohibited item, but if your item is a dental or medical gum that is approved by HSA, then you can import such item. It's very important not to import e-cigarettes or cigarette lighter that is in the shape of a gun, revolver, or piston. Endangered species and the byproduct is also restricted item, and these information can be found in the Singapore Customs website. The effect of COVID-19 pandemic is here for the long haul, and various nations are now slowly advancing towards a recovery phase. Irregular flow of goods from regional emerging from the periods of quarantine is expected. As such, businesses are now required to be more agile and more than ever to adapt to these circumstances by exploring various modes of transport. Shipments capacity and frequency may need to be reconfigured, while the logistic strategy need to be relooked, by air versus road or sea. For example, the FedEx ARN or the Asia Road Network can offer customer a one-stop solution center that can deliver both cost and service advantage through seamless air and road connectivity. The ARN spanned over 7,000 kilometers between Singapore and China, connecting 8 cities from Hanoi, Guangzhou, Bangkok, Ho Chi Minh, Penang, Kuala Lumpur, and Singapore through 40-footer trucks. Now, there are more than 100 departures scheduled on a weekly basis and up to 5 daily departures serving Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand with direct route connecting Singapore to Bangkok. Our fleets of movers and trailers are equipped with GPS tracking, and Not only will customer benefit from the cost optimization, customer can also be assured that their goods are handled with higher standards. The traditional methods of cross-border transport in Asia require a full import and export clearance to be completed at the road border, which can hinder consistent transit time. So the ARN solution delivers cost over air freight and service advantage over sea freight. The cost advantage over air freight because it's scheduled transit. That means that it's on time, on schedule departure, no last minute cancellation. A comparable lead time with a well mapped out shortest route taken to ensure smooth traffic flow and the fastest time at the destination, arriving at the destination. Now we also have a central network planning and management. This is a dedicated planning and engineering team responsible for the end-to-end solution. And this is also reliable network operation with high security standard. There is GPS installed in both the tractor and the trailer of all vehicles. Security protocol and mitigation procedures are also in place. So this has a service advantage over sea freight because it is a seamless custom clearance process within a secure environment. It minimizes exposure to risk in port delays and congestions. Furthermore, ARN also leads to a reduction in inventory hold. Now, the clearance of this is done through bonded truck scheme at the FTZ Free Trade Zone. The road clearance are more efficient compared to the sea because road takes hours to clear rather, and sea sometimes takes days to clear. Port congestions can cause major clearance delay up to weeks in some ports, whereas road congestions could take a few hours, and worst case scenario is like 1 or 2 days. Pickup and delivery is available 6 times a week, and this help eliminate the need for consolidation, and this free up warehouse space for staging. The FedEx understands SME needs for convenience, flexibility, and custom support. In other words, you need a logistics service provider that can take care of the whole shipping process for you so that you can focus on exploring new business. As such, FedEx has in place automation tools, which comprises of a portfolio of transportation solutions that our customer can leverage on cost and service efficiency. Let's revisit the logistics shipping process to see how to incorporate automation in the various stages of the process to achieve service efficiency. Now, at the start, you can take advantage of the benefits of the FedEx Ship Manager. And this is in FedEx.com. To improve your efficiency and automate your entire shipping process. The FedEx Ship Manager allows you to get rates, transit time, save time preparing for your shipment, especially the fact that you can save frequently used information. It allows you to schedule a pickup without making a phone call and generate custom clearance paperwork through your airway bill. And you have full visibility of the shipment status and more. Now, while preparing for your shipment, the FedEx Global Trade Manager can provide you with a one-stop resource for your international shipping that enable you to manage your duty and tax, paperwork documentation preparation, as well as destination information. So say you want to ship an item to India and you're not sure, you can use FedEx Global Trade Manager to help you find out more information on what is required to send the shipment to India. Now, next, I would like to share on the FedEx electronic trade document. This is an automated shipping solution that allows you to submit your trade document electronically. So ETD, for short, reduce paper waste and allow faster pickup. It speeds up the pre-clearance process, and you can submit the document much earlier so that if there's any missing or additional information, you can be notified quicker to reduce a delay. Remember this earlier slide, I mentioned that shipment information on the electronic paper can also be transmitted to destination for advanced declaration to facilitate custom clearance while your shipment is in transit in the air. So ETD is one such tool that facilitates such process. While your shipment is in transit, FedEx track gives you control over your shipment by helping you stay informed so that you can ship with confidence. With the new FedEx tracking, you can name your shipment for easy identification. You can create a personal watch list to monitor your important shipment or filter shipment information or the details that you want to see. For retailers that are shipping with FedEx, FedEx Delivery Manager International or FDMI will benefit their residential customer by providing them with the flexibility to receive their shipment when and where they want them delivered. In return, businesses can boost customer satisfaction, increase loyalty, and save money by processing less return and differentiate in a crowded market at no additional cost. And fulfilling consumer wish list by personalizing shipping experience is key to achieving service efficiency. E-commerce is here to stay, and as such, it is important that your business is demand ready to meet the increased order, and that your platform is able to manage, query, or provide accurate information. At the back end, your business needs to have the flexibility to customize your shipping needs as required, and this is what we at FedEx aim to help our SME to do. And as you work towards establishing a stable e-commerce platform, it is important to be able to customize your need progressively along the way. Now, one of the critical steps to business successful recovery is to ensure that 90% of your logistic needs are manageable on the go. And this will help your business operate efficiently and achieve better cost efficiency. Utilizing automation tools will speed up the turnaround from order to delivery, and you can be in control of your shipment. Furthermore, these tools will allow customers to have visibility over their shipment, and your customer also enjoy the flexibility of knowing that they are able to proactively request for a change in address as and when they required. And through the online tracking, your customer will be updated every step of the way. Finally, I would like to conclude my presentation with these key takeaways. In a nutshell, the COVID-19 pandemic has brought unprecedented disruption to the economy and social norm. SME do bear the impact of various restriction orders around the world. And we have also seen the effect of this pandemic across all types of business, industry, as well as supply chain. While there are some extents of easing or lifting of these measures in various stages, the evident shift of consumer trend that we have seen, as Audrey has shared earlier, is inevitable. The business now need to acknowledge these behavior trends and adapt to fulfill customers' needs. I hope today's presentation provides valuable insight that will help you re-strategize the supply chain strategy moving forward. And thank you very much. And I will now pass the time back to Tiffany.
Okay, and thank you, Yvonne. Thank you for your valuable sharing. I hope the participants here is able to gain more insights, how to deep dive in thinking how to re-strategize their logistic process moving forward. So now, before we start on with the Q&A session, for those of you who would like to receive the presentation deck, please take some time to scan on the QR code on the screen right now to fill up a short survey. And after you have completed the form, the presentation deck will be sent to you in a few days' time. I also do understand some of you guys may be using your mobile phone and you have difficulties of scanning the QR code. Rest ensure that after the whole event, Singapore Chinese Chamber will also be sending you an email, with the QR code and the email and the link to guide you step by step on how to retrieve the presentation deck. So without further ado, now let us welcome back our two speakers for the Q&A session. And together with us, we also have Miss Tan Mei Lee, who will be joining us as the moderator for the Q&A session as well. So as usual, if you have any questions for the speakers, feel free to submit them by clicking on the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen and type in your questions. Do note that due to the limited number of time for the Q&A session, we will not be able to answer all questions. Thus, we seek your kind understanding that should your questions not be able to answer during this session, you may contact FedEx directly with their contact details featured on the screen, or email SCCCI, and we will forward your enquiries to them too. So I'll be passing off the mic over to Mei Lee. So Mei Lee, over to you.
Thank you very much, Tiffany. Thank you very much, Tiffany. And I'm sure that all the participants today have very great insights from Audrey as well as Yvonne's presentation. Thanks for staying through with us until our Q&A session. I do see quite a number of questions coming in, so perhaps we'll take the first question. There is a question on elaboration on how can SMEs strategize their logistics solution to ultimately help themselves to recover from this pandemic. So we did cover quite a number of pointers on this. So perhaps, Audrey, you would like to take this question. Over to you, Audrey.
Right, I hope you can hear me. So thank you for the question. So just now, Yvonne has shared a couple of pointers. So one of them that I want to point out is automation. And automation is a way whereby we could achieve cost efficiency. And I think the other thing to look at is really the visibility of the whole supply chain now. It is important to have visibility on the end-to-end process because that's where one can optimize the cost by looking at the various journeys, how you can reduce the weightage.
Thank you, Audrey, for the elaboration. And I'm sure those who stayed with us just now in the earlier presentation has also managed to receive some insightful solutions, and we hope that it can also be taken on as a practical implementation for companies. Moving on to a second question, I do receive some questions from Anonymous, but if we are unable to fulfill or take on all the questions, perhaps you can also state your name when you're asking the questions. We touched a little bit on the import process by Yvonne in the earlier presentation. So perhaps we can also get Yvonne to recap what are some of the key challenges or potential delays for deliveries during an import process. Perhaps some of those who joined us midway are able to get some insights from Yvonne right now. Yvonne, over to you.
Well, we see that the potential delays or the cause of delay, a lot of it is in the paperwork. You know, the information on the airway bill and commercial invoice is incomplete. For example, I shared earlier about the company's name. When the company's name is incomplete, it will cause a delay to the shipment. Things like unclear or incomplete description of goods. When you send a sample or a gift, the word sample or gift is actually an incomplete description. You do need to describe what is the content that you are shipping and what is their value. For example, I mentioned earlier about masks. You know, you do need to indicate, is this surgical mask or is this beauty facial mask? So clear description is very important to prevent those type of delays. And as well as the UEN. I think UEN is one thing that I really want to emphasize here. The activation of UEN at custom websites is very important to prevent your shipment from getting delayed for custom clearance. And the shipper and consignee's information is absolutely important for it to be accurate and complete so that in case anything happened to your shipment, we can reach out to you and resolve the shipment quickly. As I mentioned earlier, while the shipment is in transit, the clearance, the advanced clearance of your shipment is being processed. So this will help as well to make sure that your shipments gets delivered smoothly when it touches down at the destination for delivery. One other things that we see is also the value of the shipment. Sometimes we see discrepancy, you know. Give you an example, and that is that we could have a customer shipping 100 kg of goods, but then the value is only $10. So that may not be, in fact, that is not right. So the best way to do this is to utilize some of the FedEx tools so that you can keep some of the information to make it more efficient for you. So I just want to emphasize again, really it's about the airway bill, complete information, and the commercial invoice with all the information in there. HS code will definitely help as well. So these are some of the things that if you have all the information ready and provided on the paperwork, it will reduce the possibility or potential delay of a shipment when you import. Over to you, May.
Yeah, thank you, Yvonne, for that elaboration. I'm sure Yvonne has managed to only highlight some. There will be a long list of challenges. So it would be great to have a discussion with FedEx on, what are the other challenges that are faced as well. Moving on to the next question, we actually have a question that came in from Jasper. It's on Asia Road Network. I believe this was actually covered in the earlier presentation in great detail on Asia Road Network. But Jasper's question is with regards to whether ARN, Asia Road Network, covers intercontinent. So maybe Audrey can, maybe Yvonne can take on this question and also share how cost-effective is ARN compared to air freight. Because we did cover air freight versus sea freight just now as well. So maybe over to Yvonne.
Sure. Okay, let me continue. So the FedEx ARN is a secure day-definite express network. It links to the regional cities and domestic networks. So ARN was launched in 2005, and ARN has been a market leader in cross-border trucking in Asia. ARN spanned across 7,000 kilometers between Singapore and China, connecting 8 cities from Guangzhou, Bangkok, Ho Chi Minh, Penang, Kuala Lumpur, and Singapore through our 40-footer. In terms of how ARN can be more cost-effective versus air freight, we shared earlier about how ARN is actually more cost-effective and it is reliable. It has a time definite. In fact, ARN is managed 24/7 by our security command center. It also have a team that manage it to ensure that it has a reliability in its service. I'll just share 2 examples of 2 of our customers. One of our telecom customer uses our ARN network solution as they see substantial savings versus the air freight. Not to mention that this is linked to that company's green initiative. And I will share an example. And we have another industrial customer who set up the regional distribution center in Singapore. And they were able to leverage on our road network solution to deliver goods to their customer faster. And besides cost saving, reliability is that our customer can really benefit and enjoy from. Over to you, May.
Yeah, thank you, Yvonne. Yeah, so we have maybe time for 1 or 2 more questions. And the rest we will have to reach out to the FedEx team to actually elaborate further for the participants. We touched a little bit about last mile delivery experience during the presentation earlier. Perhaps Audrey, you would like to elaborate more. How can businesses, SMEs predominantly, but perhaps also cuts across all types of business entities, how can they improve their last mile delivery experience for their customers? Audrey?
Thanks. So as we live in a digitalized world, we rely very much on apps, products, services to give us a hyper-personalized experience to suit our individual needs. At FedEx, we have FedEx Manager, the FDMI, FedEx Delivery Manager International. It's an online tool that gives the consumers a variety of delivery options. So it's really convenience and flexibility at their fingertips. For example, the consumer, the recipient can choose to receive their shipments at a certain time slot, or they would want the shipment to be delivered somewhere else. Now, we also offer self-collect, and self-collect, in terms of self-collection network, FedEx Singapore, we have over 500 collection points, and I would encourage this mode of last mile delivery because it is very cost efficient, and also it helps reduce the carbon footprint. Thank you, May.
Thank you, Audrey. Due to the time limitation, perhaps we will take one last question. There are a couple of questions that came in. We will have to take that offline. So perhaps the last question is regarding more relevant to SMEs, who are, I believe, most of the participants here today are from the SMEs segment. What other tools, aside from the ones that was shared earlier, it was shared regarding a lot of digital and automation tools. So perhaps, Yvonne, you could elaborate a little bit about tools that SMEs can benefit that are predominantly offered by FedEx services. Yvonne?
Thank you. So we understand that SME really need convenience, flexibility, and custom support. So in another word, they need service logistic provider that's able to provide, to take care of all the shipping process. So this is the reason why FedEx come up with a list of automation tools, a whole portfolio of the transportation solution. Earlier, I shared on some of the automation tools, such as the FedEx Ship Manager. And FedEx Ship Manager is where you can process your shipments, with repeated information that you can use for future use, especially if you have same types of shipment, and that makes it productive for you. You could also use the FedEx the Delivery Manager International, where your consignee, your residential customer can have better. Now, I think the FDMI, there's one thing that I would like to share, and that is that we recognize the benefit of self-collection, what that will bring to small businesses and their customers. So empowered by the FDMI and robotic process automation, customers in Singapore can basically pick up their shipment at their near them. So the RPA, or the robotic process automations, would pair the customer's nearest location point, or like the parcel lock, so that the customer can have the option to select for a location that is nearest to their home or their workplace, and have the flexibility to collect their package at the preferred venue and time. Let me share about some other tools we have, and one other tools are the QR Pay. So QR Pay enable our customer to pay for their shipment while they're on the go, by scanning the QR code provided on the invoice using their smartphone. So other tools that, such as the FedEx and that I mentioned earlier, and FedEx Mobile Solution, all these are into in like iPhone, BlackBerry, Android phone. All these are available for our customer because we understand the need, the agility, as well as the ability to process the shipment on the go as well. Another thing that is used and prevent it is the FedEx Trade. You can do the EDD and if there's with the contacted earlier to fix it, and then enjoy the smooth advanced tools, and that is the packaging solution. Packaging solutions such as the FedEx extra large packaging that our SME who are dealing with garment and the fashion industry finds that very helpful. So these are a whole portfolio of transportation solutions that our SME can leverage on, in order to make sure that they have the cost and service efficiency.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, Yvonne. We did experience a little bit of an audio challenge just now, but I think rest assured it is okay. The FedEx team will share the PowerPoint slides presentations with participants who are keen. So that wraps up our last question in the Q&A session. So I'll pass on the mic to Tiffany. Tiffany, over to you.
Okay, and thank you, Magali. Thank you so much, Audrey and Yvonne, for their presentation and answering the Q&A questions. Now, I understand some of the participants may have questions that's maybe very tailored specific to their company products or solutions that we are unable to take it offhand. But rest assured, you can just email FedEx directly, or contact Singapore Chinese Chamber, and we will get FedEx to assist you out. Now, for those who have posted on the Q&A questions in the Q&A box there, if they have posted their question as an anonymous, meaning they reveal their names, everything, we will have FedEx team to be emailing you and answering your questions moving forward from here. So I hope the participants have enjoyed the sharing session by FedEx to know, what are some of the tools available now that they can look into for their business, and how to integrate to make sure the logistic process is much more smoother, moving forward, especially the trend of digital, e-commercing is, up and coming, and, everybody and every business definitely have to hop on it in one way or another if you are doing, especially on consumer goods itself. So without further ado, we've come to the end of the presentation. Thanks so much for all the speakers, and thank you for the participation for today, as we hope that the participants will be able to enjoy future Singapore Chinese Chamber events moving forward. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.